You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. On Thursday, Adam Schefter broke the news that Bryce Underwood was flipping. Bryce Underwood would later confirm that he was flipping his commitment from LSU to Michigan. Called it a lifelong dream. Oh, man. I was doing an interview with Crane and Company before I came on today. My guy David Cohn, who's a Michigan man, was extolling Sharon Moore for the great job he did building the relationship with Bryce Underwood. I can't even say it without laughing. I mean, they dumped $12 million on him. Short time after we got off air, learned the terms. Michigan offered Bryce Underwood $3 million per year over 4 years for $12 million. LSU's NIL offer was half of that number. It was $1.5 million per year over 4 years for a total of $6 million. For everyone today who's wondering why LSU doesn't have motivated boosters, please. You offered a kid that hasn't taken a snap $6 million. You got motivated boosters. You just don't have the head of Oracle dumping $12 million on a kid that's never played because your team's 5-5. I know that sounds like sour grapes, and it is. I wish Bryce Underwood was coming to LSU, and I wish LSU had a roster of billionaire boosters that could dump that kind of money. But if anyone is today trying to pretend that this is anything other than what it very clearly is, that is just disingenuous. But it is part of the culture of college football today. So I want to talk about it. Some have asked, hey, is there any chance LSU could counter, could get it back? No. So I want to talk about the path forward for LSU without Bryce Underwood and what that kind of looks like, because that's the reality you're faced with now after spending 3 years recruiting Bryce Underwood, after having him committed for nearly a year, after having all of your eggs in the Bryce Underwood basket, having now no real option for an elite quarterback in the class of 2025. What do you do? And what is your path forward? That's really how you have to look at it. And I do believe there are coexisting realities. I think these two things that I'm about to tell you are not mutually exclusive. On one hand, Bryce Underwood, by everyone's accounts, is fantastic. One of these amazing football players, the number one player in the country, and you spent so much and invested so much in him, and you would love for him to be your quarterback of the future. Like, that is one truth. Like, yes, you would be better long-term with Bryce Underwood. Like, you want Bryce Underwood to be a part of your program, okay? That is true. I'm not in any way hand-waving, dismissing Bryce Underwood's value, importance, any of that stuff. We're clear on that. That's one. The other part is that there is a path forward for LSU without Bryce Underwood. And I want to talk about that today because that's LSU's reality. The Bryce Underwood thing is gone. So you can acknowledge how much that sucks and how much you would have loved to have had him and how much better you'd be long-term if you did have him. But you can also look at what the path forward is and go, okay, well, that feels doable. Let's explore that a little bit. Number one, I'll tell you straight up, you are better in 2025 with a fifth-year senior Garrett Nussmeier than a true freshman Bryce Underwood. This is not something that I have said just today after Bryce Underwood's flip. This is something, and the great thing about the digital era is that, as I say all the time, is everything is recorded. And you can go find me saying this for months on every different platform. You are not better with a true freshman quarterback than with a fifth-year senior starting for the second year. We saw it with Joe Burrow from his fourth year to his fifth year, Jaden Daniels, fourth year to fifth year, Zach Mettenberger, fourth year to fifth year. You give me a guy that has played, that has started, I would rather that over a true freshman. Look at what's happening in Oklahoma right now. We've given you this example. Dylan Gabriel came in, veteran guy, won 10 games. They wanted to go with the young guy, the five-star, Jackson Arnold. Gabriel now is the quarterback of the number one team in the country, who's going to be in the playoffs, going to be a Heisman finalist. Jackson Arnold got benched. He's got his job back now, but they're not very good over there at Oklahoma. So, let's just be very honest and very clear. Bryce Underwood may start at Michigan next year and go 6-6. Possible. Maybe he has a great year next year. Don't know. But in 25, I would rather Garrett Nussmeier. You're also going to see somebody leave because this is just what happens. It's not that I know anything about LSU's current quarterback room and who might leave and who might stay and all that stuff. This is just what happens. In 2018, when you brought in Burrow, McMillan and Narcisse left. In 2022, when you brought in Jaden Daniels, Miles Brennan retired from football. In 23, when Daniels returned and Nussmeier stayed, Walker Howard left. This is just one of the guys on your roster right now is going to leave. So you're probably going to have to add a quarterback in the portal, even if it's just, I say just, but even if it's just somebody that's a body in the way that you added A.J. Swan this year. And then when you look to 2026, I would go so far as to say right now that whoever is the quarterback at LSU after Garrett Nussmeier is not currently on the roster. I think if Nussmeier plays in 25, whoever is the quarterback in 26 is probably a transfer for a year, 2 years, whatever it may be. And you can look to a path down the road with Elijah Haven from Dunham in Baton Rouge, who's the number one quarterback in 2027, potentially being that quarterback of the future that you could bring in and groom and grow and mold and develop and all that stuff. But you hope for Nussmeier in 25, he comes back, and probably a portal quarterback in 2026. I would also suggest to you, I would also suggest that you're better with transfers than high school quarterbacks. Joe Burrow was a transfer, won the Heisman. Jaden Daniels was a transfer, won the Heisman. Zach Mettenberger was a transfer. It was great for you. Danny Etling was a transfer. You are better off with transfers, not just LSU. Look right now in college football. 7 of the top 9 ranked teams in the country are quarterbacked by transfers. Dylan Gabriel at Oregon, Will Howard at Ohio State, Quinn Ewers at Texas, Rourke at Indiana, Leonard at Notre Dame, Cam Ward at Miami, Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. They're all transfers. There is a path forward, if you're willing to spend money in the portal, to find a starting quarterback in the portal. And that's what LSU, the path you have to go. Again, I'm not hand-waving Bryce Underwood. I'm just saying that ship has sailed. So what is your path forward? Well, look at this. Look at what people have done successfully without a guy like Bryce Underwood. The other thing I will tell you also, and you may not love to hear this, especially today, but let's look at quarterbacks, at the top quarterbacks in their respective classes, how they're doing. Last year, DJ Lagway, Julian Say, and Dylan Raiola, still to be determined. Go back to 2023. The top quarterback in the country, Arch Manning, TBD. Dante Moore, Nico, TBD. In 2022, Cade Klubnik, Ty Simpson, Drew Aller. Those were the top quarterbacks in 22. 2021, Quinn Ewers, Caleb Williams, won a Heisman, didn't win a championship. Sam Heward was the third best quarterback in 2021. You want to go back to 2020, Bryce Young, DJU, CJ Stroud. Those guys didn't win championships. 2019, Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels was the number 3 quarterback in 2019. You'd have to go back to 2018 with Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and by the way, JT Daniels was number 3 before you find a quarterback that won a national championship in Trevor Lawrence. A top-ranked quarterback. The path forward is find an experienced quarterback out of the portal. And perhaps the most important thing for LSU right now is to take advantage of this moment. So we've talked about the 25 class that they've built, and Bryce Underwood was the crown jewel of the class. There was no denying that. You've taken away the biggest, most decorated, most awesome piece of that class. You do still, however, have an amazing class assembled. DJ Pickett, Cade Phillips, Harlem Berry, Karis Kern, who Shea told us earlier this week he feels will be a 5-star by the time the final rankings come through. That would be 4 5-stars, and Jakeem Stewart's out there. By the way, I will tell you, a conversation I had today before the show, Michigan is going ham on Jakeem Stewart, and I would not be surprised, given what they just did to land Bryce Underwood, if they land Jakeem Stewart as well. Even though his stated Final Four were LSU, Ohio State, Southern Cal, and Oregon, I would not be surprised one iota if Jakeem Stewart ends up in Ann Arbor as well, because they are spending cash. But the good news for LSU, you had $1.5 million committed for Bryce Underwood. You can now take those funds and use them to solidify this class and to be active in the transfer portal. LSU knows. I'm not telling you something I'm guessing at. I'm telling you something I know. Firsthand conversations I've had. LSU already has money allocated for elite players in this year's portal, and they are going to be spenders. It's something they regret last year in the first portal window. They were not aggressive enough. They know they have to do it, and they're going to be. So you've now got an extra $1.5 million to go play with on top of everything you already had allocated. Solidify the 25 class, be active in the portal, hope like God Garrett Nussmeier comes back and improves in 2025, and that buys you a year to figure out what the future of your quarterback position is going to be. It's not the path you thought you were going to take for as long as Bryce Underwood's been committed, but it's the path you now must take. So how do you explore it? That's about as good as I can think of as of right now. As it develops, we'll continue to follow it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.